I was watching this clip of the Larry Kudlow show, and he was, I think it was Trump's, one of his economic advisors. Pretty interesting show. It had Brian Kilmeade and Judge Jeanine Pirro on, and they were kind of debating back and forth. And one of the things that really gets on my nerves, I'm so tired of this crap, is when you get Republicans who say, well, both sides do it. That's got to stop. Let's talk about it. Hello everyone, this is Keith and welcome to the Ghetto Sapien channel, your home of inner city intelligence. So I don't get Fox News at my house anymore. It just happens to be that way. And so when I do watch it, I tend to pull down clips from YouTube. And this one I found very interesting and frustrating too, and you might as well. It was Brian Kilmeade and Jeanine Pirro. They were kind of going at it. They, both, I guess, consider themselves conservative Republicans with different philosophies on how to move forward. So one of the good things is that you can have the debate, at least within the between conservatives who might not see eye to eye. They're not ideologues to the point where it's like stabbing each other because you don't support abortion or whatever like that, like what happens on the left. There's a bigger tent on the right side. So it's good to have a healthy debate. But I'm telling you, man, I get so tired of the Republicans that are the both sides do it too crap, and they try and dismiss what the Democrats do and try and equate the bad things they do to find something that the Republicans do that's equal, and it just doesn't work out every time. If you want to say Republicans spend like crazy, just like the Democrats do, I got no arguments with you there. But if you want to talk about how the Democrats use the power of the government to go after their enemies, they have no freaking equal. But anyway, let's get right to it so you can see what's got me pissed off.
But we're in a mess. We're in a hell of a mess. We've got a president where even I think it's 68% of the Democrats think that we're in a hell of a mess.
Brian Kilmeade, look, I think there's a populist revolt. I think it's not unlike what the founders faced in 1776. Now, we will use democratic means to change it, but it just looks to me, for all the reasons Jeanine just said, it looks to me like the folks, the majority of the folks, even perhaps the majority of the Democrats, want a change because of this overbearing, overreaching, radical, progressive, big government, socialist operation of Joe Biden.
I'd even remove Democrat and Republican from this. I think we're a self-correcting country. And I would say there's got to be a way to people look around and go, look, we gave you the opportunity to run the country, and you left us in last place. We gave you a first-place team. You left us in last. We're not talking about rhetoric. We're not talking about opinion. We're not talking about philosophy. We're talking about how you left the economy, how you left the supply chain short, how you continue to be unable to affect it, how we can't even get on a plane and get anywhere on time. What you're directly responsible for is one thing. What you fixed is almost zero. What you created is a huge problem. In Afghanistan, I'm going to amend one thing. And because I was at the Navy SEAL Museum yesterday, and I saw all these Navy SEALs, 1,000 people show up for the Michael Murphy Naval SEAL Museum. And most of these guys fought in Afghanistan. And I go, how do you feel? And he said, I like to focus on what we did after. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you're talking about those 2 weeks when we got everybody out. He goes, no, I'm talking about what we're doing today.
Right.
Because after we left, this government screwed up the way we left, the way they embarrassed us. In come the men and the women and private finance to get our people and our allies out. That's America. I didn't mention Democrat. I didn't mention Republican.
To do
get
what
our people
Biden
out.
should have done
exactly.
in the first place.
But
right?
he said he was not going to leave an American behind when he did.
See, look what Larry Kudlow pointed out and what irritates me about Brian Kilmeade. He's talking about the private people using their own money, their own planes, to do what the government was supposed to do by conducting a proper evacuation of a dangerous terrorist-run country, that being Afghanistan. The government dropped the ball. People died because of it. It's terrible. It's a great thing, and it does speak to American ingenuity and independence and rolling up their shorts, their shirt sleeves and doing it themselves. But you can't dismiss what Biden and the Democrats have done. You can't just brush it aside and say, well, Americans are going to go clean up and fix whatever. Larry Kudlow brought it right back to where it should have been. You can't fix a problem if you leave the problem to fester and just, we'll just fix the result of the problem instead of addressing the problem. The problem is Biden has lost his mind and there's no one to correct him or anything like that. These people would not have had to spend their money and resources rescuing Americans and our allies from Afghanistan had Biden done a good job. Conservatives, Republicans like Kilmeade would just have us, let's do the work and move forward and not correct the problem that government is, that where it's all coming from. And I think it's just a weak position for Republicans to take. Continuing.
These guys looked around and go, we're going back. They gave up their businesses, they sold their places, private donations flowed in, they get a third country, they get other opportunities, and they come in, put the face paint back on, they find a way to get their people out. That's America. Right. Self-correcting country that eventually does the right thing, even when our leaders fail us. And when we have cops, we're told you can't arrest anybody, you can't put them in jail. So now they're going to leave, and sooner or later, America's looking around going, okay, all hell is broken out in the streets. You know, the men and women in blue, I kind of support them now. Not a Democrat, not a Republican, not a mayor, not a governor. I support the people trying to keep me safe. Mm-hmm. And the other thing the Republicans got to be sure to do, and it's going to be the toughest, just because you win, which looks like they're going to do in the House and Senate, doesn't mean Democrats have to lose.
Oh, yes, it does. These Democrats, if you talk about the Democrats, say, like from the JFK era or even the Clinton era, yeah, you can negotiate with them. These Democrats now are cult members. You can't really negotiate with cult members. And it doesn't make any sense cooperating with them to too much, to a great degree. You can maybe peel off one or two, and if you continue watching, Kilmeade's going to name one. He's going to name Joe Manchin, and he's going to name Bill Maher, who's not even a politician. So it's not like there's this long list of Democrats that even Kilmeade will concede that you can go to negotiate with. So I don't know what this dude is talking about. The Democrats, as they are now, have to be kicked out of office and pushed aside in order for normalcy to ever return to this government.
Don't go for the jugular every single time, because sooner or later, for 2 years, they keep their powder dry, they come back to do the same thing.
What same thing? What same thing are the Republicans doing that counters what the Democrats have done just in the last 2 years? He doesn't name it. He just Kilmeade is acting like both parties are exactly the same and they move in the same way and they're just equally bad. They're both bad to certain degrees. The Democrats, I think, are way worse than the Republicans, who are just weak. The Democrats are an active evil force in this country. Yes, that's what I'm going to say. The Republicans are weak, and that's their biggest problem. But I'm hoping that a bunch of Republicans have been primaried, and we'll get a better batch coming up for 2022. Continuing.
We've tried this for about 16, 18 years now. We win, you lose. We win, you lose. We win. How can we work together? And if you can't, you can't. And I think there's a way to do that. And there's a Joe Manchin, there's a Bill Maher, there's people on the left side that want to get things done.
But you know what?
He mentioned two people, like I said.
Wish it were that simple. You know what, Brian? I wish it were that simple. Every time the Democrats are in power, they're looking to indict, they're looking to trash, they're looking to destroy the people on the right. The people on the right, the conservatives, the Republicans, they walk around like they're the Marquess of Queensberry rule. You know, they've got their hands tied behind their back. You know, we just let them step all over us. They get into power, and look at what happens. They lie and they say, oh my God, in the summer of 2020, when the streets were burning down, down, oh, these are all peaceful protests, with Black Lives Matter. Oh, no, that's a great organization. No, it's not. And everything that they were doing was contrary to the and look at what they're doing at the Supreme Court justices' houses. We don't do that. They do that.
So what's the answer? Is the answer to protest at the liberal Supreme Court justice house?
The
so that's what I'm saying.
No, but that is not the answer.
Be the bigger person.
The answer is no. The answer is when they violate the law, you prosecute them the way they prosecute us.
Do you really want to get them? You see what I'm saying? What are you prepared to do?
Everything within the law.
And then what are you prepared to do?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's exactly why I kind of threw that clip in there, because the gloves got to come off. Trump was indicted twice. And the first time he was indicted for just really pointing out that something nefarious, something bad looks like it's happening in Ukraine. And lo and behold, something really was. So Trump was was impeached the first time for pointing out a crime that Biden was actually guilty of. The second time, he was impeached for inciting an insurrection that never happened, an unarmed insurrection. So there's no equivalent to that on the Republican side. The Democrats will use power in a tyrannical way. They're going after everyone they can who was tied to Trump. You don't see, Roger Stone, old guy, General Flynn. Those people were just hunted, and they sent armed FBI to old people's homes that happen to have ties to Trump. I haven't seen that happen on the Democrat side. It's only It's only the Republicans it's happening to. I don't see Republicans doing that to Democrats. I don't see Republican attorney generals going after parents and putting them on terrorist watch lists. I don't see that happening. But again, when the Democrats get into power, they really know how to use and abuse power. Republicans don't. And I'm not expecting them to abuse power, but just follow the law. Biden has done so many things that are impeachable from he lied about having no idea what's going on with his son, Hunter. He has he has a shared checking account with Hunter, so anything Hunter gets, it gets commingled in with Biden's money. Hunter is paying for Biden's bills. That's illegal, because that's a way you can bribe a seated president or senator. So there are lots of reasons to actually impeach Biden, or at least start an impeachment hearing. So if when the Republicans get in, they don't start investigating Biden, because they're not going to be able to get anything else done. They can't get bills past Biden, so they might as well just open up investigations about Biden and his son. And if they don't, then impeachment just doesn't mean anything anymore. It's just a joke. If Biden doesn't get impeached, or at least, like I said, start an impeachment hearing, investigation, the whole 9 yards, then don't impeach anyone ever again. Because if anyone needs to get impeached, or at the very least a thorough investigation, he needs to be investigated as long as Trump was, and Trump's out of office and still being investigated. That needs to come on top of Biden, because, again, demonstrable lies of the Biden admin. He's become rich for no reason at all. His son, how did he get his hands on so much money? That all needs to be investigated. And the Republicans need to get off their ass and fearlessly do this in order to save the fidelity of government. Because if we continue in this obvious two-tiered judicial system, the whole thing's going to spin apart. But, so we can't afford to have weak Republicans like Kilmeade. We need strong Republicans who are pretty much fearless, like Ginny Pirro. But that's my take on this. What's yours? Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Just don't be weak.